Umbra, I'm going right back to you because I want to talk 2027. Now, you have been banging the drum for quite a bit about you thinking that the next generation of Xbox hardware was not next year. This is what we've all been, pondering and thinking and hoping. But apparently, thanks to the story, it is 2027. So I want to read verbatim. This one particular paragraph does add a significant amount of context to what we're about to cover. It says this because, our sources also indicate that Microsoft's internal successor to the Xbox Series X and S platform has been fully greenlit all the way up to CEO Satya Nadella. For now, as I understand it, Microsoft's next generation hardware plans include a premium successor to the powerful Xbox Series X alongside its own gaming handheld and several new controller options. Tentatively, these new console devices with an S are slated for 2027. So there it is, folks. There is your confirmation that not only are you getting the next generation of hardware, which again is this Steam box that looks and acts like an Xbox, but ultimately is a PC. You will be getting new controllers as well as the handheld in 2027. Umbra, ultimately, you were right all along, sir.
Well, I'm used to hearing that. I got to say, no, I'm joking. I mean, listen, that sounds good to me. And I think that controller is what we've heard about that well back into the court situation when they were talking about, they detailed a lot of that there with the haptics and all that. So that's probably what that will be. However, the mileage may vary for that because I know some people who do not like the haptic feedback. Danny is one of them. He hates it.
I actually like it, dude. Like I like the DualSense. I don't like the position of the sticks, to be honest with you. It's doable, it's fine. But if you can give me what that controller does in the form of an Xbox controller, I'm kind of all in on that, man.
I don't mind them it either, especially if it's used well. Like Astrobot used it well. I'll give it that, right? So if they utilize it well, I'm all for that too. The offset sticks is why I prefer the Xbox as well. So I'm with you there. And I think the Elite controller is just better by far than anything PlayStation offers. But that said, yeah, man. I mean, that all of that sounds promising. I'm just I'm excited to see. I wish I had more to go on with this outside of that. I mean, the only thing we can really speculate or speak on is to their greater plan and of involving third parties to allow for like we talked about a 5090, if you will, Xbox. So we don't know enough, so they have to give us some information on that. I'm actually looking forward to hearing that finally voiced. Sarah Bond is the head of that situation. We haven't heard from Sarah Bond in a long time now. Hell, I haven't seen her anywhere. So she must be hunkered down,
dude, for sure. I mean, she is the president of Xbox and still holds that position as far as we know. We just have not heard, anything from her. Now, granted, she's a busy woman. She's the head of the president of Xbox. Now, she also made mention last year that they were reforming the backwards compatible team, but it was also adding the caveat that it was not only going to be backwards compatible development, but forward compatible development. I would imagine that that's what she sunk her teeth into and what she's full steam ahead about. She also made mention about the most powerful hardware that Xbox has ever made, which is where we are today. I don't know why we haven't heard from her, specifically, but I would imagine we should hear something soon.
Yeah, no, I 100%, and I think GDC might be that time when we start hearing some things, right? So yeah, I'm excited. I wish again, I hate to vamp onto things where we don't have enough information and I start making declarative statements. I don't know enough, you know what I mean? So, but I am excited for what they have coming. Me already being on PC as I am largely, I'm not like, man, I sure wish I had me a more powerful Xbox. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, if they're gonna give us that, perfect, because I want the Xbox mainstays to experience this too. And I love the thought of Microsoft, which Phil was very clearly alluding to, bringing storefronts of Epic and Steam and all that to it. I just want to see how that
He
all
said it
plays
without
out.
actually saying it, though.
Yeah, he does a little coy thing. How he does. Oh yeah, we would love to have the storefronts. Blah blah blah. You know how he talks. But I love the thought of that, because I think it's just going to open the door for so many more things. It's going to open, I think, a lot of people's eyes to the wider, depending on how it's implemented. I just want to see how that's all going to work out. I'm intrigued, as they would say, because I want to see how that's going to play out with different storefronts. How can that work out? Because it's like, isn't that them shooting themselves in the foot essentially? I just want to see how that works out, So that's really it for me. I just want answers, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. But if that is the future, where they'll allow for these different storefronts, and it's a pretty powerful Xbox, and they'll have third-party developers, if you will, or own platformers, to allow for their PC to be Xboxes in that way. I'm interested in seeing all of that play out. I just wish I knew more, but outside of the release year.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I want to use myself as a test subject here, folks. I'm not a PC guy. I have a Steam account, yes. I have an Epic Store game account, sure, because every time they give away something free, I download it. Now, I add it to the collection, but I don't have unlimited space, so I just delete it because I'm not going to play on PC. Eventually, though, I might. And here is where this answers your question of how it would work. Now, I am not a PC guy. I have never been a PC guy. I'm a console guy. I have been since the Atari 2600. Yes, folks, I know I'm old. But this is where we get to the point. Now, more times than not, when me and, Everborn or Casante are talking on the phone, which we do pretty much every day, they're like, oh, man, I'm playing game A. Oh, it's on Steam, right? Steam had 19,000 games released last year. 19,000 of them, right? And a lot of the really amazing gems get lost because there's just too many games. But me being a non-PC guy, if you give me an Xbox, the next generation Xbox, that runs and has the ability to download games from Steam, I now become a Steam customer through the Xbox that looks and runs and plays like a traditional Xbox, but gives people like me the ability to play or buy a game from Steam, download it to my console, play it on this hardware that, again, looks like an Xbox. And the same could be said for the Epic Game Store. Whether I downloaded it for free or I purchased a game from them that maybe isn't exclusive, I will be able to play it, but they would not get this customer because I'm not a PC guy. But because this box allows the door to be kicked open into that world, I have now a new customer. I think that is at the forefront of where they're pushing this thing, Umbra. But
yeah, no, I mean, that makes some sense. Well, it makes a lot of sense. I see them still. I think everything you said was well. I mean, I don't think I had too much more to add to it than that. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. I just wanted to kind of add some context to it. But Jamie Moran, I want to go to you, brother, and I do want to add an additional paragraph of context to what the next generation of Xbox could potentially be. And it says, it seems, according to the article, that the next generation of Xbox consoles will be closer to Windows than ever before, reducing the amount of work developers have to commit to when porting from PC. As I understand it, according to Jez Corden, they will continue to support backwards compatibility with legacy Xbox games as well. However, Xbox President Sarah Bond previously announced a project team specifically designed, I said this before, to promote backwards and forwards compatibility for existing Xbox games. And to that end, Xbox-led Phil Spencer has teased in previous interviews a desire to support third-party storefronts, which is what, of course, Umbra literally just said. Jamie Moran, what are your thoughts on the basic confirmation that the next set of hardware is now coming in 2027 and not next year.
Oh, excuse me. You know, so when the whole 2026 thing came out last year, and we all knew Microsoft wasn't going to do mid-gen upgrades. I thought 2026 was a perfectly fine move because that's how long console generations used to be, 5 to 6 years. Just everyone got really comfortable during the 7th gen. I apologize for the police car going past.
It happens, brother. Listen, they're coming for us. I understand.
Yeah, it's the ponies. They after me. But I think when it comes to like Xbox and like just gaming in general, like this has been a weird generation. People say it's taken way too long. Like, every time people talk about this generation, they say it's a laughing stock, right? We have a lot of great games. Xbox has more games coming than ever before, but people still refer to this generation as kind of bad, right? Because overall it's been weird. The first 2 years of this generation, every game left and right was constantly delayed, right? We all saw these still images on Twitter by these developers saying, hey, here's a bunch of text. Sorry, this game you've been looking forward to, it's delayed a year. We've seen this time and time again for years, and it's expected at this point. So, like, the first 2 years of this generation were kind of just slow. It was like walking in butter, right? And now, big games are coming out all the time. 2025 looks to be possibly one of the best years in gaming ever. And still, people refer to this generation as slow and kind of bad. And looking at it like that, even though I would have been all in on a new Xbox, excuse me, for 2026, I think maybe pushing it a year after is perfectly fine. I'm perfectly fine with the hardware I have. I don't think Microsoft needed to do a mid-generation refresh. It was unnecessary this time. And, I think that's going to give developers a lot more leeway to get their games out because, like, I think, in 2026, if they were to put out a new console, developers would basically have to support Xbox One, Xbox One X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, Switch, Switch 2, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 Pro. It's just a mess, right? So I think, 2027, it's fine. And at that point, they probably still going to be a year ahead of PlayStation, which who knows how that's going to pan out. And at this rate, we could actually see Microsoft launch their next generation hardware with an Elder Scrolls game and maybe a new Halo, right? Crazy stuff. So like I think that's totally fine. When it comes to the whole like storefront thing and like PC storefronts on console, I honestly don't know how that would work. I've said time and time again, I actually think that's a bit of a dangerous move for Microsoft, because like let's say a lot of people like me on Xbox right now, they are waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and we're waiting for that to come to Xbox. Well, let's say Steam is on Xbox, and let's say you can just load up that store, sign in with your Steam ID, and buy that said game on your console. Well, what would actually give developers more incentive to not just put their game on Steam and let people sign in and download it and play it on whatever hardware they have? So that means you won't have Xbox achievements. You won't have the Xbox integrated ecosystem with that game. And I think like it's a very slippery slope. We don't know because we're not in the business meetings,
right,
how it's all going to pan out. But like people have been talking about Steam as an app on Xbox for years now. For years. Like I would look back in the day in the early 2000s, I was obsessed with playing RTS games on PC. Those are the only games I played on PC. In fact, I have 2 games on my current PC, one of which is an RTS. And I would love to be able to play some of these games on my Xbox. But I think, like, I saw this last night, and I have to mention it. Some pretty big Twitter accounts were posting about how, Xbox doing this, the PC handheld strategy this year, and the next gen Xboxes, like, why are they still doing next gen Xboxes? They must be making a lot of money in Game Pass. I think there's an extremely naive approach when it comes to talking about Xbox for a lot of these people, is that they think Xbox just makes money from Game Pass, which is bizarre because like Game Pass makes a lot of money for Microsoft. However, do you know what makes even more money? Game sales, microtransactions, expansions, DLC. The Xbox storefront generates billions of dollars of revenue. So, like, that's why Xbox wants to continue making consoles. Like, there's tens of millions of players in the Xbox ecosystem. You have like 50 million people still playing on Xbox One. You have, we assume, 30 million people on Xbox Series consoles. Like, do you think that Microsoft just wants to just say, okay, goodbye to all these game sales, right? No, it makes billions, right? Xbox generates more money than Windows, right? So Xbox as a brand, like, they sell lots of games, they have lots of subscriptions. Like, that's why they want to continue making hardware. And there's tens of millions of console players that want to buy a next gen Xbox, be it 2026 or 2027. The whole storefront thing, we really have no idea how that'll work. Maybe it'll be a side loading thing. I just don't know. But like, when it comes to console players, they want simplicity. They want the ability to buy a box, plug it in, play a game. That's it. And I 100% Microsoft will do that. But I think the 2027 year is actually more interesting than any other rumor, because originally, for the past year and a half, 2 years, we've all talked about, hey, 2026 is going to be amazing. But 2 years ahead of Sony, that would have been a weird move, because Sony would have been able to get 2 years ahead, 2 years later, with way more powerful hardware. And considering the price of like chip manufacturing and all that stuff being affected by everything going on, like, I think a year apart, Microsoft could maybe pull a 360 move and get people excited about Xbox with Elder Scrolls, the Call of Duty marketing, because they're going back to Modern Warfare and all that stuff. Like, so like, I think the 2027 thing is actually more important than the whole OEM ecosystem thing.
So I have a bit of a caveat to what you're saying. So again, the whole storefront thing, I understand there's a lot of hesitation there because we don't know how it's going to work or look. But the OEM situation, and this is where this conversation kind of goes into a little bit of a hypothetical, because we don't know, right? The rumor is that they want other manufacturers, or they're going to allow for other manufacturers to make an Xbox based on a spec that the customer will design. This goes like right to, like, if you go to alienware.com, which is owned by Dell, and you find an Alienware laptop that you like I did for Mrs. Boom. She loves their laptops. I got her one with a 4070. Now, I could have gotten the one with the 4090, but she doesn't need that. And she didn't want so we went with a 4070. She got a 4070. She has a terabyte of storage and all the bells and whistles you can want for a laptop. Now, she game on it? Very rarely, but that's what she wanted, and that's what I bought her. The next Xbox is going to come out, and it's going to be made by Microsoft. That's going to launch in 2027, and it's going to be a pair of consoles. One is going to be a handheld. One is going to be the box underneath the TV that we all know and love and understand. I think there's an opportunity here, and here's why. When Phil had that interview, and he was specifically asked, what about the next generation Xbox is going to be different that is going to have consumers want that box? He wanted the next Xbox to be as different as possible from what they've released years before in just a standard console. And this is where they have advantage 101 over PlayStation. This is just my opinion. I really think that the PlayStation 6, which is going to be a super powerful piece of tech, make no mistake, it is going to be a powerful piece of tech, but it's going to be a PlayStation 5 with onboard super powerful tech, meaning that it's going to look and act like a PlayStation 4 and a 5 before it. It's going to play the games. It's going to have PSN, capabilities and all the bells and whistles that you know and love about PlayStation. But it's going to be a standard PlayStation with a different number and more power. That's not going to be the case with the next Xbox. The next Xbox is going to be an open source box, potentially giving you the ability to play Steam games and your Epic Game Store, maybe even other storefronts like Good Old Games. And the console is going to release for $700, give or take. But there's going to be an ability for a third party to make a piece of hardware because it's going to be and mirror what a PC is already, meaning that there's not going to have to be any additional development. It's basically when you're making a game on PC, you're making the game for the Xbox because it's basically a PC. And all they have to do is add achievements. I think that's going to open the door to have more people want to put their games on Xbox because they're not doing additional development that's going to cost them additional monies. Again, this is all speculation, folks. Who knows how this is going to go?